I wanted to take the time to talk about learning everything in a new language versus learning what is simply needed. Now, it's true that if you want to improve the level you have, you need to acquire more vocabulary and understand more things, and as in when you progress, you get better. However, we must take this fact into account that we'll almost never in our whole lifetime understand each and every word of the language we're trying to acquire. We don't even know all the words in our own native language. So, the thought of learning everything in the new language you're trying to acquire is way too ambitious and misplaced. What is a better goal when you're acquiring a new language is learning what is important and what is necessary. Now, this is where the argument comes of the people who encourage you to speak from day one. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of should you speak from day one or should you have a silent period. Here, I'm simply going to talk about the benefits of learning what is necessary and speaking from day one. One of the major benefits of speaking from day one, and I don't mean speaking to yourself in this target language, having someone to converse with and having someone who can correct your mistakes is what we're talking about here. When you have someone to speak with, when you have someone who can correct your errors, you understand things really fast and you can implement them just as fast. When you're just absorbing input or you're just reading, yes, you can acquire comprehension skills, you can acquire reading skills, but input is not the same as output. Just because you can understand what you're hearing or just because you can understand what you're reading, that is not a guarantee to be able to speak effectively. So, the point of speaking from day one is learning what is necessary to be able to communicate in the language you're trying to acquire. Now, what is important for you will vary from person to person. For example, the words that a medical doctor will try and acquire in the language he's trying to learn versus the words an engineer will try to acquire in the language he's trying to learn are going to be different. Yes, there are going to be words that both the engineer and the doctor will definitely know, but as we go deeper and deeper into acquiring a new language, we need to understand what is necessary in order to execute from day one. A lot of people end up in what I like to call theory land, or a lot of people end up procrastinating. And the reason is they feel that they are not ready to start speaking simply because they don't have the sufficient vocabulary to express themselves, and which could be quite true for an absolute beginner. But once you reach, let's say, the B1 or B2 level, you can try speaking even though you make mistakes. That is fine. If you've been studying a language for quite a while and you are able to express yourself just a little, that should give you enough permission to start having conversations with native speakers. Now, of course, not everyone has the patience to sit with a person at the intermediate level and start talking with him or her for extended durations. It's quite possible you'll need to pay someone for this, and there's an application called italki where you can speak with teachers or people who are willing to teach you and sit and have a conversation with you, and that can help you improve your speaking skills. When you start speaking and you start making the mistakes that are necessary, you realize where your blind spots are, and if you are speaking and making notes at the same time of the mistakes that you're committing, you're understanding what is necessary for you. If all you do is sit and study and that's it, you really aren't acquainted with the vocabulary necessary to conduct yourself in daily life. It's quite possible that you've overshot the level that is needed. So let's say this is the competence level needed to effectively communicate. But since you haven't spent much time speaking and you've just been learning and learning and learning, perhaps you know way more than what is necessary to speak at this level. Let's think of it like training and performance. Let's say you were in weightlifting, and let's say you could clean and jerk about 100 kilograms, but you never went on stage. And when you went on stage, you found out that to pass, you just needed to perform a clean and jerk of 50 kilograms. So that's where we see the gap between what you actually need to learn and what you think you need to learn. So quite often you might underestimate or overestimate the level that you have, but once you start getting your hands dirty, so to speak, once you start entering into conversations with people, you will have a very clear idea of what the real level of your skill is. Because the true test of skill is being able to express yourself either through spoken words or through written words, one of these two, right? Listening and reading is a different skill set, comprehension is a different skill set, and communication is a different skill set. So I encourage you to start speaking as soon as you have a decent level of vocabulary. In fact, I have started the same with Turkish. Even though I can just say hi, hello, how are you, thank you, that still is better than nothing, right? One is better than zero. So get started. The purpose of getting started and checking the mistakes you're making is to accurately assess your level. Put this into practice and you'll soon be bridging the gap between theory and practice. So I hope this video was useful to you, and thank you for sticking till now if you've done so. I'll see you in the next video.